Yeah, I started the recording. Yeah, we'll see about this one actually SAQL basics today. Okay. Uh,
Mhm.
like how it is going to work and how it is going to use it. Actually, previously we know how to use drag and drop, right? Now we
Yeah.
will see like how to use this SAQL, right? SAQL statements for each and every statement. Okay, first of all, while seeing SAQL basics, like we have some keywords which we need to use. That I will tell you, like how the SAQL statement looks and how we can form the SAQL statement. Okay, so first of all, like what is called as SAQL statement? Like each line which we are writing here, right, in this SAQL, that is called as a SAQL statement. Okay, each line whatever we are writing, like q is equal to load data sets and q is equal to group q by all, and q is equal to 4 is equal to generate sum of amount, right? These are all a separate simple statement. Okay, and likewise, suppose if our data set is huge, right, and if you want to return only the percentage of rows, like how we can return it, like we can use sample, right? And what is the repeatable seed we need to provide, right? When we give this input, like you will be able to see like only the percentage of data from your data set instead of seeing the entire data set. Okay. That is one example like we can regularly use because whenever we are dealing with large data set, right, we might have some problem. Okay, so this will take this data set opportunity. Okay, see what is the total count of rows we, sorry, what is the total count of rows now? We have a 706. First, to switch to SAQL, we need to just click on this query mode. Okay, once you click on this query mode, some lines are automatically generated for you. What is that? Is Q is equal to load opportunity data set. Okay, this is nothing but the data set name. And if you see the second line, it is grouped by all. Since we are going to use an aggregate function here, it has been grouped by all. And like I said, like what is a statement in the previous thing, right? Like each line which it is going to generate is a statement. Okay. And one disadvantage of using SAQL is like whenever we switch to SAQL mode, always we should be in the SAQL mode. Okay. We cannot go and use the drag and use mechanism. Okay. Okay. Like I said, sorry, let us see how to use this sample, right? How we can use this sample and this particular repeatable. Okay. So now how many rows we are getting? We are getting 706 rows, right? Now instead of that, we'll change this to sample of 10. It means it will consider the 10 percentage. See, and we can use the repeatable seed, right? So, and when we run the query, you can see here, it does not bring all the rows, but it just brings only the 10 percentage of whatever the entire rows what we have. So that is what it is going to return, the sample and repeatable. This is very important when we are dealing with huge number of data set. And if you want to see only some particular rows and we need to decide values out of it, then we can use this. Okay, I gave 20 percentage, so we are getting the 20 percentage values. Like when we change it to 30 percentage, then will be used to 30 percentage. Are you able to get it? Like why we are using it?
Yeah, Anand. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. And this is why this is a simple syntax like for sample and sample. And like I said, right, once we edited and ran the query, we'll be not able to edit any of the bars or anything, right? So what we need to define everything through SAQL only, like whenever we are edited any particular values, then we will be able to edit everything through SAQL only. So before editing SAQL, like whatever fields is needed, just get all those fields, then go ahead and edit it. Okay. Then group by. Okay, like why we are using group by? Like suppose if we are using any aggregate function, there should be one group by used here. Okay. So like that's why we are using group q by all, right? If we are not using group by, like see what happens here. Like see, each rows will be getting repeated one by one. So always it should be grouped whenever we are using aggregate function. Then only we'll be able to generate the aggregate values here. Okay. Let us take the name field. Okay. From here, let me copy the name as name. Come on, whenever we are giving any values, it should be always, these are all called as identifiers. We need to just give it on single quotes. Otherwise, we'll get an error. Okay, even though we have provided on single quotes, we'll get error. Why? Because we haven't added in a group by. So any aggregate function is been added in our query, then it should be always added in the group by. Otherwise, we'll not get we'll get an error here. See, inaccessible dimension name. Why we are getting this error is we haven't added this in the group by. Okay, so once we add this in a group by, then we'll be able to get the required values for this particular opportunity name and what would be the count for that particular opportunity name. So it will be grouped and it will be aggregated to that particular value and it provides us the result. Like any column you can add instead of name, if you add the lead source, only thing is you need to add the lead source here and you need to add it in the group by. Okay, once you add it in the group by, it provides a particular values. And after as whatever values you are giving, it will be your allies name. So what you can give us total opportunities, right? So if you give this, then your allies name will be changed according to this. Then if you switch to the graph, you will be able to see what is the lead source and what is the total opportunities here. Like there are multiple charts where you can switch between the charts and make use of this chart, like whichever chart you want to use. And one more thing is like normally when you want to sort the values, right, we'll be able to get it here, but we are not able to get the values here. So how we can sort those values, right? So again, we need to add one more statement like q is equal to order q by which column do you want to sort. Okay, you need to provide that column name here and you need to provide ascending or descending. Okay, as of now I'm providing descending. And let us go to the query now. Like we can see how it is being displayed. Now you can see it is being sorry, it is being sorted by descending. Suppose if you want to sort it by ascending, the only thing you wanted to do is just change it to ascending. Okay, so automatically it will be sorted to ascending. Okay, this is how we can use this group by function and filter. Okay, suppose if you want to filter any values from your data set, then what you need to do is you need to add a filter condition. Okay, but where you want to filter, that is depends on you. Like whether we can filter at the beginning or we can filter at the end, but it is depend on our uh, like uh, like what where we want to filter it, right? So if we need some records till the end and we need to do some calculation and finally we want to filter, that is also possible. Okay, suppose if I am filtering the lead source column, okay, so how I need to frame the query, right? Filter lead source equal to this particular value. This should be given in double quotes. Okay, And what value I want to filter? I want to filter a public relation. Okay. When I do that, only this value will be displayed now because I have added a filter for it, right? So based on this filter, only this particular value will be filtered. Okay. If I want to filter multiple values, right, then what I need to do, I need to add it in condition. I need to provide the in condition and I need to add it to the in condition. If I want to add any multiple values, then I need to keep adding here. Okay, let me show you one example like how we can add a multiple filters so that you can go ahead and add your own values to it. Okay. Now we have added only the public relations. Now I'm going to add the advertisement. Okay. So based on this, both the filters are being passed to our queries and it returns only those filter values. Okay. That is how we use the filters. And like I said, like how to use string is to represent string, we need to represent in double quotes. That is what is written here. Okay. The same thing we need to use it in double quotes. And these are some escape sequences which we want to use, like slash and we will go to the new line and slash or it will take to the return and slash t is the tab. If you want to provide tab, then slash to t and slash single quotes and this is double quotes and this is a backslash. This we can see whenever we are using the advanced editor. Okay. So these are all the basic keywords like which you wanted to keep in mind. One is group, one is order by, and then load the data set. And if you want to use sample and repeatable, then we can use this. And how to define a string and how to define a values, right? If you want to define any field values, then we need to provide it by a single quotes. Otherwise, it will give an error. These are the some basic stuffs which you wanted to know when we are going to SAQL, right? This is the group by and this is the order by, right? And if you want to use any aggregate function, there are many aggregate functions are available. So we can see the aggregate sessions, right? We can see like what are all the aggregate functions are available for us here. Okay. And let me show you. Normally, when you go to this dataset opportunity, right? Here, when you click on this plus button, you will be able to see all these aggregate functions. You can see sum, you can see count, you can see average, you can see maximum, minimum, unique, median, first, last, standard deviation, and variable, and all these things we can see as an aggregate function. So how to use the aggregate function? Suppose if you are taking sum of amount, there is a count of rows already displayed. Along with that, there is a sum of amount displayed here. Okay, but if you want to display it for the particular mm, uh, like particular stage, then you need to take this in bars. So automatically what happens, all the dimensions are being moved to bars and your values are taken into like bar length. So ideally how the query would be formed, the query instead of count which we had in the previous row, now it will take the sum and it will provide the values. Okay, sum of amount. Okay, and then it grouped by stage name and it grouped by stage name ascending. Okay, this is how the query will be generated. But until you change anything, right, and if you press undo, you'll be able to edit your queries and you can add the filters easily from here. But once you start edited and press enter here, and when you run the query, right, automatically you need to edit all these things through the SAQL only. Okay, these are all some SAQL functions which we should know. Like going forward, like we can see many multiple functions, like how to use the different functions, all those things. Okay, now I'm switching to compare table here, right? So we'll show you a simple example, like how we can clone this column and use the formula. Okay, for example, I wanted to know what is the total count divided by sum of amount, so that I would be able to find out like for which particular like which like I would be able to calculate some of the values, right, based on this. So simply what you need to do is, suppose if you want to divide it by b divided by a, just you can use this. Okay, there are some multiple functions which have been available here, like you can see there is an average, there is a correlation, there is a seal function, there is a date range function, and there is a dense rank, and all those functions are available. Okay, and we can see some of the functions like why we are using those values there. So so it will be useful to us when we are able to, when we are using it in the functions, right? So it is just we need to use this formula and click on apply. Okay, it will give you the actual value. For example, like what is b divided by a? This is one simple example. Like that you can do any other calculation. Suppose if you want to do any percentage calculations, and if you want to do any aggregate calculation here, that is also possible here. So when you close this, then you will be able to get this, and you can see this, and you can change the alias name also without editing the query. When you enter the value here, suppose if you want to show this as actual sales value, then you can do this. When you click on apply and when you click on close, then it will show like how to bring this values. Okay, so but if you see here in the SAQL how the values will be formed, there will be a separate value to give you the b by a value, which is going to give it as c. Okay, this is how the SAQL has been generated here. Okay, and now I decided, right, like I have some values, like I have like closed last, and I have some of them. Okay, suppose if I want to do some analytical calculations, like how we can do some analytical calculations here, right? That we can see on tomorrow's class. But what, according to me, like what are the things you wanted to know from this session is, like you should be able to use like the basic keywords like group by, order by, and some of the aggregate function, and that would be good, right? Like if you are able to edit some SAQL, that should be good. But this is how it has been used. Like each and every example I have shown here, this is how it has been used. Okay, like how we can use order by and how we can use the group by, all those steps from here. Okay, so this is some basic steps, like you can follow this. Okay, if you have any questions, then we can discuss here, or we can see it on tomorrow, like if that is okay.
Yeah, Anand. Is there any way we can also get any documentation link, Anand? Once you
Yeah, yeah, documentation link I will provide you. There is a documentation link available. Like
oh,
we can directly get it, like because these are all things are will be provided from Salesforce end itself, right? For this basic
mhm,
functions, so it will be already available. But like I would like to tell you, like these are all the usages which we should know, right? So if you search
right,
online also, you'll be get this documentation. I will provide you the documentation link. Okay. Uh,
right,
but tomorrow I can show you like what is the documentation link we can use. Okay.
right. Yeah, and also the compare table is it's
We
it's
can
very
show
powerful,
totals.
right?
Yeah,
Can you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Compare table is the one which we normally use to provide and provide or define any calculation we do via compare table, and finally we can change it to like what kind of chart we want, right? Like any kind of
Mhm.
chart if you want to use, then we can change it directly. But normally all the calculations, right? Not only the minimum, like whatever calculation we get, we normally do it in compare table. Then we can switch like whichever option we need.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And
compatible
also,
is normally powerful to do many calculation. Yeah.
yeah, and also, Anand, can you quickly like walk through this lens, right? Normally, we go to the query mode, and also we switch different query modes, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, lens, right? I mean, this is just when you click on it, you'll be able to create a new lens. And
Mhm.
here you have filters, right? You here, if you want to add any filters, you have filters here. And bars, if you want to add any group by, we can add a bars here. Like suppose if I'm adding a lead source, right, then you will be able to see this. And if you click on the measures, you will be able to see the group by sort, descending, ascending. And if you want to add any filter, that is also possible. And here also there is a filter which we can add. And here, if you go to the query mode, this is the arrow mark. When you click here, it will be taken to the SQL query mode, where you have the query link, like each and every query link, what it generates. And you can switch to SQL also. But one thing is, like as of now, when we are switching to SQL, it is not supporting, like the bindings are been not being supported. Like we are not able to do many calculations when we use the SQL. So it's always better to use SQL. And because a lot of things, like whatever things we can do with SQL, the same things we can do it with SQL also. Okay. So, but only thing is, you need to remember, whenever you are switching to SQL, you add the necessary fields, and then if you want to do some calculations, then switch to SQL. Because ideally, when we switch to SQL, it will be not easy like to switch to the normal view again, right? So before switching, make sure you add all the columns whichever is required, then you can move on add on, right?
Okay, okay. In the query level, Anand, can we
Mm.
copy and paste query, entire query, or is
Yeah,
if
we
we
can
copy and
copy
paste?
and paste the entire query, but the data set name we need to load it again from here, because the data set name will not be added here, right? Suppose if you are copy and pasting, we
Right.
need to add the data set name here, right? That is more important. Suppose if you're adding any data set, right, then we cannot load the data set here, right? We should be able to load the data set here. Only then
Gotcha.
we'll be able to query that, right?
Okay. In aggregate also, right? We can combine two different data sets.
Yeah, we can combine two different data sets. Anywhere we can combine two different data sets.
Okay.
Suppose if you want to add a new data set, right, like click here,
Mhm.
then it will be added automatically. When you click this plus button, you can add a
Right.
new data set. Okay, right? But how you are going to bring those two values from new data set? For that, we need co-group functions, right? That we'll see in coming up sessions, right? Like this is just a
Gotcha.
basics where you want to understand the simple things, like how to go to SAQL, how to navigate to SAQL, what are the keywords we normally use, what is group by, what is order by. These are things are enough for today's session.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when we move on to tomorrow's session, we'll see more about like how we can use two different data sets, and how we can join those two data sets, and how we can use the analytical functions. All those things we can see. Okay.
So one last question here, Anand.
Mm.
So bar length, bar and trials and unused field on the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we say bar length, we can also you only can show count of rows and
No,
count
only
of
we can show the measures. We can show the
measures.
measure values here.
Okay, how
Okay,
many
but
measure
this
values we can select at a time?
like as of now we can show five, 4 to 5. Okay.
Okay,
In the bar we can show 4 to 5 values as of now, right? But when you switch to compatible, like we can show many values, but we need to query it ourselves, right? But
gotcha, gotcha.
by standard we can show 4 to 5 values. See, if you see this, I have added few columns now. Let me add the other
Right.
column. Okay, total 6 values we can add, I guess. But according to this release,
But it's a limitation, or we can still add custom well query, right?
yeah, by query we can add. But now it has been giving from this release. I think we are able to add more number of values, I guess. Let us see like how much values it is been allowing us. Okay. As as of now, it is allowing more number of values. That's good. So I don't see any limitation here. I think we can add more number of. I keep adding it, right? See, I can add
Right.
any number of rows here. But previously, like, it allows only 4 to 5 columns, and after that, if we need anything, then we need to go to the query and we need to add it. But now, according to me, like it is allowing many values. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I don't think there is some limitation being set here. I think from the spring release, it has been provided all these features has been enabled.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, and this is really good. And also I see on top on next to save, right? That's
Hmm.
new button. I think they added. I never seen that button before.
Create model, right? This is nothing but like,
Yeah.
for example, for the same data set, if you want to create an Einstein discovery model, then we can go here and create it from here. Yeah,
Oh, directly. Okay.
yeah, directly. What I want to predict, right? And location and all these things. If you want to
Right.
predict any values, then we can do it from here.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, let us see, like
Yeah.
going forward, right? If we are able to see one by one, then we'll be able to cover everything. Okay.
Yeah, and this is really good, like, base, right?
Yeah,
Basic
this is the
stuff to
basics.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really helpful. Thank you, Anand.
Yeah. Thank you.